I kind of thought to myself, we have to change something here because the real healing is in when it holds in place. The adjustment's great, but if your adjustments aren't holding, there's not a lot of healing taking place. So if you keep adjusting this bone and it keeps popping out, you'll probably feel good for a couple days, but the real healing is when this stays in place. And that's what we try to accomplish as upper cervical chiropractors, is to put this back to restore the blood flow and nerve flow so the vertigo and dizziness and off balance sensations get better. Welcome everyone to the first live episode of the Expect Miracles podcast. We are here at Spine of Life Upper Cervical Chiropractic in St Augustine, Florida. We have a very special guest today, Tucker Jones. He is a professional videographer, works with a lot of great bands, and he's got a great story on upper cervical, how it's helped him with vertigo, dizziness, and other balance issues after an accident that he had. One of the things we are going to touch on today is how the upper cervical spine, the upper neck, can be responsible for vertigo, dizziness, and other balance issues. One of the reasons is because the upper neck here, this is the only place in the spine where there's no disc space. So when you have a whiplash, car accident, sports injury, this area is only held together by muscles and ligaments. And when you have an injury like that, it can misalign this bone and disrupt the vestibular center, which is our balance center in our upper neck, and it can cause a lot of dizziness, vertigo, and balance issues. Also, there are certain arteries that go up to our brain and give our brain blood supply. And that vertebral artery goes right through this top bone here. So if there's a misalignment here, it could kink that vertebral artery. The internal carotid artery is right in front of it. It could disrupt the blood flow going up to the head and cause a lot of lightheadedness, balance issues, and vertigo as well. So today we're going to jump into Tucker's story. This is the Expect Miracles podcast. Like I said, first video podcast we had. Some people have probably been listening for the last 5 or 6 years on iTunes and Spotify, but we're excited to finally have a video feed and have more episodes coming your way. So without further ado, please welcome Tucker Jones to the podcast. Tuck, how are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so, Tucker, you've been in St. Augustine, Florida for a while now, right?
Yeah, about 10 years now.
10 years. And what do you do? What is your profession? You a videographer professionally, or what would you say?
I'm a photo video guy. Work a lot with music, doing portraits, things like that. I also am a developer and designer. So
that's right.
Man in many hats.
Very cool.
But I do a lot of music and portrait work. That's what people know me for.
Very cool. And you're very good at it. I can attest to that. He's helped set up this whole podcast studio, and this wouldn't be possible without him. So, Tucker, besides that professional work you do, you had an accident. How long ago was that?
It was about a year and a half ago now.
A year and a half ago. And so what happened with your accident, and how were you feeling after the accident?
So I went down on my motorcycle, hit water and gravel, and just threw me down, knocked myself out, hit my head, had stitches in the face, dislocated collarbone, dislocated ankle, and fractured. So going through that process, coming on the outside in recovery, I started noticing a lot of vertigo. And I've had it in the past here and there, but this was like ongoing.
Yeah, an accident like that would definitely do that. Did you have any other minor accidents before that? Any other car accidents or sports injuries or slips and falls, or that was like the main one?
That was the main one.
Wow. Yeah. And were some things getting better while you were healing? Were some things staying the same? What was the healing process? Because that's a major injury you had.
Yeah. So the vertigo part would come and go. And when it would come, it'd be 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Like ongoing, just some days would be worse where I was like super nauseous.
Now, what was the vertigo like? Was the whole room spinning on you, or did you just feel like more you were on a boat off kilter balance like that?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
Room would be spinning if I moved fast. Other words, it was like I was on a boat. I'd have to like get used to the feeling, and then I was okay. But there were times that if I moved fast enough, or I got up or rolled over in bed, it was like major spinning.
Did that provoke any anxiety or depression because you didn't really know when the vertigo was going to hit? Were you a little bit more on edge than usual?
A little on edge, mainly because like I said, I had vertigo prior, but nothing like that. So I was kind of wondering what was bringing that on. But because I've had little bouts of vertigo where, it's like a few days every 6 months or so, and this being prolonged, it made me a little worried about what happened.
Yeah.
Why is this here and why is it so bad?
And so what did you do to see what was going on with the vertigo? Did you see any specialists or doctors, and what did they have to say?
I mentioned it to my doctors as, I was doing checkups, and they said it could have been that, the crystals in your inner ear are just dislodged. So I started doing those kind of exercises. Like
the Epley maneuver and stuff like that?
Yeah, I did a series of like 4 or 5 of them back to back, like every 20 minutes or so.
Wow.
To help. And it helped.
Yeah.
But it didn't go away. And I was just continually doing that up until I saw, your ad. And
that's how you found us, was the upper cervical ad?
Yeah, it came up as an ad on Instagram.
Very
and
cool.
Then I happened to run into you at Butcher and Bean.
That is wild how that happened. Yeah. I met Tucker, and he was doing photography and videography for the Butcher and Bean in St. Augustine, and I met him, and he actually was already looking for upper cervical care. So it's kind of crazy how that happens.
Yeah.
And Tucker, one more thing I want you to touch on: was there a certain movement or head turn, or I think you said when you were laying in bed you kind of felt it the most? Was there anything that would trigger the vertigo?
A lot of it was if I was laying down and I got up, or if I was laying down and I went to the side or this side. Those are the things.
Those are things that would trigger it.
Or if I was laying down and I just went to stand up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you see any like ENTs or neurologists for this problem at all?
No.
Okay. Now, it's always good to see the neurologist and the ENT when you're going through these, because they do very important tests. But most of the time, these tests come back clear. And if your inner ears are good and your brain scans are good, there's a good chance that these issues are coming from the upper neck. Now, Tucker, you found us. What was your upper cervical experience like? Because I know a lot of people see my videos and they say, or they might think it's one adjustment and then you're done, you're healed, it's all good. It's most likely a process. It can take 2 or 3 months. And with you, we had to kind of find the right adjustment to help it hold the longest. So What was your process like? I know you had a really good first adjustment. What was the whole process like for you?
So I had a really good adjustment, and I think it lasted a few weeks, and then I felt a tinge of the vertigo coming back, and we realigned, and then at one point it came back really bad, the nauseous kind of feeling, and I was like, whoa, and it was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I slept wrong or did something, and then that's when you tried a new alignment.
Right.
And that, like within hours, I felt 100%.
Yeah, I remember you saying, and then that's been holding probably for a couple months now.
Yeah.
Now that's important because it's important to give it a couple chances. Some people, you get one adjustment, they say, I'm still suffering, it's still here, it's not working. When, it's kind of like everything, going to the gym or, even giving your doctor a chance to figure out your piece of the puzzle, because sometimes people have complicated cases and it's usually not a one-time fix. You need several sessions to get it put back in place, and sometimes we need to find the right adjustment that works for you. Yeah, I think we got Tucker adjusted 4 or 5 times. The first one held probably the longest, then it kept kind of popping out once a week, once every other week, and so I kind of thought to myself, we have to change something here, because the real healing is in when it holds in place. The adjustment's great, but if your adjustments aren't holding, there's not a lot of healing taking place. So if you keep adjusting this bone and it keeps popping out, you'll probably feel good for a couple days, but the real healing is when this stays in place. And that's what we try to accomplish as upper cervical chiropractors, is to put this back to restore the blood flow and nerve flow so the vertigo and dizziness and off-balance sensations get better. So we changed Tucker's adjustment. It's still holding. It's been a couple months, and he's been feeling amazing. And are you still having any bouts of vertigo or anything like that?
I haven't had much at all.
Amazing.
Especially not enough to where I'm like, oh, we need to like reassess this.
Oh, absolutely. And what was the quality of your life with the vertigo and without? Was it kind of disrupting everyday activities for you?
I mean, it slowed me down.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that no matter what like having a broken ankle, I'm going to get out there and do my thing.
Yeah.
But it slowed me down, especially when you start feeling nauseous. You need to step back and like kind of get yourself together and be not so nauseous.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it just disrupts the process and the flow of my day and the things I'm doing.
Yeah.
But after all the adjustments and feeling good, it's like I'm brand new again.
Awesome. And did you have like any specific questions when you first started care? Because not many people know about upper cervical. Did the adjustment just look like it made sense to you, or did you have questions coming into care that that you needed answers for?
For the most part, it made sense to me, but there was things like how you do the adjustment that just from a normal person,
right?
How does that work?
Right. Yeah, because there's no twisting or cracking.
Right.
It's very light and gentle. Yeah, it's definitely a different approach to chiropractic for sure.
You almost feel like it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, is that?
Because you barely touch.
Right. Is that going to work?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like I said, every time within minutes to an hour, you're like, wow, I feel a lot better.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been helping a lot of patients with dizziness, vertigo, off-balance sensations, vestibular migraines, numbness and tingling down the arms, post-concussion syndrome. If you feel like this, some people are listening to this and it's like, wow, that's my story. That's me. If you feel like you're going through this, I think upper cervical care would be excellent for you. There's a website called uccnearme.com where you can locate an upper cervical doctor near you. And, we are looking forward to having more in live video podcasts in the studio. Tucker, thanks for sharing your story. One of my favorite questions I like to ask all my podcast guests at the end of the show is, what is one piece of advice that has really resonated with you over the years that you would like to gift the audience? Could be absolutely anything. I know it's a loaded question, but anything coming through in the moment.
Oh, yeah. Be better than yesterday.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just simple. Keep improving.
Yep.
Be consistent. I like that. Tucker, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for setting up this beautiful studio, all the equipment. I had no idea what to do. If you're in St. Augustine, Jacksonville, hell, if you're on the east coast of Florida, Tucker is your guy for photography and videography. Tucker, where can people find you on Instagram and any other social media podcast platforms?
If you look up Tucker Jones, Joenz, all one word, Instagram, Facebook, my website.
Same thing, tuckerjones.com.
Yep, you'll find me. My
Awesome.
website has links to everything. So
cool. Well, give Tucker a follow. Thank you so much, man, for coming on, and it's been a pleasure to meet you. You were one of the first people I met down here in St. Augustine, and just thankful that you're a patient, a friend, and looking forward to doing more work with you.
Likewise.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.